Alright, this is chapter 4, section 2, function, operations, and composition. Remember what a function is, how it is defined, how it's read out. For example, we're going to say f of x equals negative 3x cubed, g of x equals x to the negative 2, and h of x is equal to 1 over x to the negative 2. Understand these are labels. The f, g, and h are labels. They don't have anything to do with the actual function. I can call it f of x or g of x or h of x. It means that's just a label. It's like saying a, b, or c. The first operation that we want to be able to do with functions, now that we've done 4.1 and we've got some experience with exponents, we can say f of x times g of x. Okay? Or we can say f of x divided by g of x. Okay. We can say both of these, f of x times g of x, or f of x times g of x. See right here. Clear your desk off, put everything away, pencil and calculator. 2 sheets of paper. If I'm doing this one here, f of x times g of x, f of x is negative 3x cubed times g of x is x to the negative 2. So I simply multiplied those two functions together. I substituted in what they equal, and my answer would be negative 3x, and I'm done. F of x times g of x simply equals negative 3x. That is a operation that we can now do with functions, now that we know a lot of these rules with exponents. Questions? Any questions? All right, let's try this one. F of x divided by g of x. Well, that would be negative 3x cubed over x to the negative 2. What would that simplify into? Anybody? Negative 3x to the what? To the 5th power. And you're done. This would have to come up to the top, and you would never do it. So we can, hold on, we can multiply them, we can divide them, we could add and subtract them. I don't think they get into that. No. Maybe a little, but that's the same thing. It's very easy. The only part that is a little confusing, not confusing, the only part that you have to work at is the simplification. But that's just kind of the same thing that we've been doing in 4.1. You know, the rules of your exponents. What do you do with the negative 2 exponent? It comes up to the top. Okay? Stuff like that. Questions? Any questions? Yes?
So it's very from that, because you said we subtract one over, so if you add the exponent in there, you're just adding the 2.
When I bring up the negative 2, it becomes positive. So I add it. The rule is a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. That's your rule. It's the first rule in your chart. Okay? All right, now. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, pretty straightforward. It's kind of self-explanatory. What we need to spend some time on is composition. The first thing you need to be able to do is be able to read it, because it's kind of written differently than you've seen anything before. The way this is read is f of g of x. F of g of x. Okay? This is a composition function. It is one function inside of another function. Okay? Let's look at this. The first thing you're going to do is, instead of g of x, what does g of x equal? X to the negative 2. So we're going to say f of x to the negative 2. Now I'm going to step back and kind of remind you a little bit about functions. If f of x equals negative 3x cubed, what would f of 0 be? 0. You would take 0, you plug it in right there, and you'd get 0. What would f of 1 be? Negative 3. Very good. What would f of 2 be? Can you do that in your head? You should be able to. 2 cubed is 8. Negative 24. And so on and so on. What would f of a red brick equal?
A red brick.
Nope.
Negative 3.
I'm going to take that red brick and I'm going to stick it in right there.
Negative red brick.
Negative 3 red brick cubed. So whatever's right here goes right there. So back to this problem, now that I've refreshed you a little bit, let's go back to this problem. I'm going to write it right here. F of x is equal to negative 3x cubed. There's the formula. There's the definition of f of x. So if I'm trying to find f of x to the negative 2, then what am I going to do with x to the negative 2?
Plug it into
I'm going to stick it in right there. And it's going to look like this. Negative 3, parentheses, x to the negative 2, parentheses, cubed. In place of the x, I simply wrote x to the negative 2. I substituted that in. Now I have to simplify. Now I have to use my rules of exponents that we did yesterday and simplify this out. What's going to happen? Power to a power says that becomes what? Negative 6. So this is negative 3, x to the negative 6. Then what? What has to go down below?
X to the negative 6.
How about the 3? What is it? What happens to it?
It stays the same.
Why does it stay put?
That's exponent.
Because its exponent is positive 1. So my answer, guys, to this entire question is negative 3 over x to the 6th. Okay? That is what f of g of x equals. Negative 3 over x to the 6th. Let's review our steps. Our first step was to replace g of x with x to the negative 2. If it helps you to rewrite the definition above it, then you're going to take this information and stick it right there. Then you're going to simplify and see what you get. Okay? Questions? Any questions? Pick them in how much time we got left. What does it say?
7:38.
All right, good. Here we go. G of f of x. This answer will have nothing to do with the other answer. They're totally separate. Not commutative like multiplication. Write this down. You should be writing this example down. What does f of x stand for? So I'm going to replace this and I'm going to say g of negative 3x cubed. So instead of x, what am I going to stick in there? Negative 3x cubed. Instead of this x, I'm going to stick this stuff in there. So parentheses, negative 3x cubed raised to the negative 2. Does everybody see how I got that? Raise your hand if you do not.
Wait, where'd the negative 2 come from?
That negative 2 right there.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't rewrite it, but here's the definition. So this information, remember, g of a red brick would be red brick to the negative 2. So if I have this information here, it's just raised to the negative 2. Now I got to simplify this and figure out what to do with this. What do I do? Where does the negative 2 go? It goes on the negative 3. And where else does it go? You have to be very careful with that negative. This is actually negative 1 times 3 times x cubed. All of it that negative 2 has to go there, there, and there. Basically, what's going to happen with that negative? Is it going to go away or is it going to stay? It's going to go away. Why?
Negative times negative.
Because this is an even power. That negative is basically, eventually, it's going to go away. My answer is 1 over 9x to the 6th. 1 over 9x to the 6th. I skipped a step there. Does everybody see what I did? 3 squared is 9. Power to a power gave me negative 6. I just dropped it down below. Question? Any question on composite functions? Any questions on composite functions? G of f of x is how it's read.